Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us and, welcome into another edition of the show. I'm your host, Ben Crossman, and I hope you are all having a great day as we get things kicked off here, where unfortunately, due to some technical issues, we will not be interviewing our guest today, but instead, we have an entire segment of computer and technology news. And this is where we go out, find the most relevant news stories of the day, and we try to, keep you informed, up to date, and up to speed on all that's happening. Because let's face it, if you dig a bit beneath the surface, it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. So for anyone out there who may be new, welcome into the Computer America Show. And before we get things kicked off, be sure to check out computeramerica.com. And that's your one-stop shop for everything Computer America related, be that links to any articles, videos, anything that we do here on today's program. If you want to find out more, if you want to check it out, well, our website has everything you need in one place. So if you're busy or you can't get to a computer right now, then hey, it's okay. We got you covered. While you're there, be sure to check out the contest, which, by the way, is 100% free, 100% easy to enter. There's like 9 different ways to enter, and we give a prize away to one lucky listener every single Friday. And hey, we could be reading your name live on the air here this Friday. And by the way, prize provided by Logitech. They give out great prizes, and we are happy to partner with them. Let's see. And the last thing is the live video feed, where you can watch Computer America and not just listen. That's right. So if you want to check that out, head on over to our website, live video stream right there, and you can see what we're doing, and it's going to be helpful for days such as this, because, when we do computer and technology news, we show the articles, we, sometimes show the videos, and it's just another way to experience the episode. Though I will say that it's completely optional. We try to keep everything all listener friendly. So if you're still listening on the radio, hey, we aren't leaving you behind. So with all that being said, why don't we kick things off here with computer and technology news, brought to you by Fire Dragon Security. Here we go. All right, so let's get things kicked off here. And so for computer technology news, for anyone out there who may be new to this segment, this is the segment that is anything consumer electronics related kind of deal. So, and it can also be, just general cool stuff or updates. But we try to keep it all, as simple and as interesting as possible. And, we've been following this one for a little while now, this coming from Gizmodo. And yeah, it was a bold claim when he made it some years ago. And then it was a bolder claim when he took it to court over a lawsuit. And now turns out that his lawsuit was just thrown out, or at least, he lost his lawsuit. So this was a libel claim. And by the way, again, this from Engadget, Brian Menegas, and he's saying that a libel claim at the part of Shiva Ayyadurai, I apologize, but the self-identified inventor of email, was tossed out by a Massachusetts judge today, concluding a baseless suit filed against Tector back in January. And according to the site, the judge also rejected the gentleman's request to file an amended complaint. So, for all of you who did not pay attention, this gentleman, he was a Trump booster and a Senate hopeful running with a race-baiting campaign hashtag, has long and loudly sought credit for electronic mail, at times by muffling competing fact-based narratives through frivolous lawsuits. So, obviously, he's litigious by nature. There you have it. But at any rate, the latest suit aimed at TechDirt founder saying, and this was a blog post entitled, "Why is Huffington Post running a multi-part series to promote the lies of a guy who pretended to invent email?" and sought an award of $15 million in punitive damages, which was an amount likely to bankrupt the site. So, and, they said that, and, the article goes into a bit more, but the judge dismissed the suit for failure to state a claim and a sensible conclusion, as nearly everyone but the gentleman points to technologist Ray Tomlinson as the inventor of email. And that's kind of what we learned, in computer science classes and courses in the history of computers. Ray Tomlinson was kind of, the father of email with the ARPANET, which was a system developed by the military to talk with other military installations in a very, private kind of deal. And yeah, he was the first one to, popularized what we would call the precursor to the email, on what we would call the precursor to the internet. And yeah, so this guy, he claimed he invented the email, and every time someone said he wasn't, he took them to court over the fact. And though nowhere to the tune of $15 million, winning this farce likely did not come cheap for for Gizmodo. And I'm sorry, did not come cheap for, let's see, TechDirt. That's who it was, not Gizmodo, TechDirt. Saying that, as Law 360 report Brian Amaro notes, TechDirt won the suit, but judge refused to toss out the case on anti-SLAPP grounds, which would have allowed TechDirt to recover legal fees. Unfortunately. So, yeah, they had to defend themselves against this guy, and at the end of the day, they still had to pay out tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to, get this to go away. And so, in a blog post on TechDirt, the CEO applauded the decision, calling it a big win for the First Amendment and free speech, where Gizmodo has reached out for comments, but, they have not heard back in the meantime. So, there you have it, and, yeah. This guy, it's, you can claim anything you want on the internet. It's, and turns out that there's probably a lot of people out there who will sit down, listen to you, even support you. But, I mean, come on, the inventor of the email, that's a pretty easily verified and well-known fact. That's like saying that you discovered America, and then you sue everyone who says you didn't. Yeah, so, at any rate, there we have that one. Glad that one got thrown out because it was so fantastical. And I don't mean that, or fantastical? Fantastic. It was so fantastic that I couldn't believe it was happening, and I'm glad that it got thrown out. So there you have it. So with that being said, why don't we move on to our next article? And how about we do this one? So it's kind of amusing how IBM, we've had them on the show here in the recent past, and it is what it is. But IBM, they do a lot of research and development. They're very business to business. They're very much, develop new technology so that they can then patent it, license it out to others. And, they're doing a lot of good work. It's not like they're evil by any stretch of the imagination. But it's always been entertaining to me that a company that used to be so consumer-facing, so corporate-facing, has kind of turned inward and has since reached such heights as a company focused on innovation. And here we have, this is an article from CNBC, saying that IBM commits $240 million to fund an MIT AI lab. Right? So researchers will focus their efforts on two fields where the healthcare and cybersecurity, And IBM's collaborations with MIT go back decades. So, hey, if you're a fan of MIT and if you've been following the show for a while, you know that quite a few, research projects that happen at MIT, hey, even make it onto our show. They do some very impressive stuff, and their students go on to do some of the most innovative, technology innovation, innovative technology innovations. Sure, why not? Let's go with that. So, IBM on Wednesday said that it will spend $240 million. That's right, to open a Watson-branded artificial intelligence research lab in collaboration with a longtime partner, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And yeah, Watson, it's I gotta say, for something that's not necessarily something that you're gonna go pick up off the shelf at your local grocery store or what have you, Watson has some of the best advertising campaigns I've ever seen. So yeah, IBM's really pushing their spokesperson. And now with this, IBM has made a larger financial commitment in the past. Still, the amount of money is notable in the world of AI research. And indeed it is. So, MIT is no stranger to that field, where the university was home to one of the first AI labs and continues to be well regarded as a place to do work in the sector. So, MIT is also accustomed to working with IBM, where obviously Big Blue, for those of you who do not remember, that was the Big Blue, I believe, was the chess playing robot. And yeah, back in the 50s, MIT worked with IBM on that one. And they also said that they also worked on a computer for an air defense system with MIT's Lincoln Laboratory. So check that out. So yeah, a lot of back and forth, and it doesn't really surprise. But what does surprise is the amount of funding that IBM is providing to MIT. So they're saying that the new deal, which will pay out over a decade, is a reply to academic partnerships formed recently by other technology companies. Saying that in July, Alphabet's DeepMind group committed to growing its AI research presence at the University of Alberta in Canada. So, by the way, everyone, Alphabet, of course, Google, for those who did not know. So Google is working with the University of Alberta, and Alphabet and Microsoft have also made announcements about gifts to fund research at McGill University and the University of Montreal. But the total contributions between the two companies fall below $10 million. Still, hey, $10 million, that's still a lot of money. But it really shows how much IBM believes in artificial intelligence to, fund that kind of research. So, they said that the people in the new Watson AI lab will work at the MIT campus as well as IBM's Watson Health and Security facility nearby. And researchers will develop algorithms, look for hardware optimization, including quantum computing chips, which is why IBM was on Computer America last. They were talking about their quantum computers, which was very, very fascinating, and explore the implications of AI in society. So, with respect to industry applications, the research will specifically focus on cybersecurity and healthcare, where healthcare is an area where IBM has sought to commercialize Watson and its cognitive computing software. Because you figure, hey, Watson, it has been proposed that they can identify certain kinds of, with enough data, they could identify certain ailments well before doctors and actually do better treatment planning for patients than human counterparts. And, we've seen some evidence of that. We've seen some evidence of Watson being able to diagnose, certain conditions. Still a long way to go, but hey, these partnerships and MIT are really going to help that, come to fruition, and not just, one story here or there. But I'm sure, as IBM is hoping, Watson could be an integral part of healthcare in the United States, and hey, maybe even the world. So, yep, good where good is due, and yeah, check that out. IBM donates. donates, yeah, probably commits $240 million to Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Very, very cool. So, all right, all right. Good news, good news. We all like good news. So why don't we want to do this one? So, okay, so this one's a little bit, I don't want to say off topic because, it's all technology in one way or another, but it's kind of cool. And this is an idea that, in many countries around the world, clothing children is not the cheapest thing in the world. And, when you are impoverished, when you are, maybe resources are not as flowing as they are in a lot of different places, the idea of having to re-clothe your child every 6 months, every couple months, as they grow from infant to toddler, it can be, the difference between them, running around with, with clothes or not with clothes. So, and in an effort to kind of help with this is kind of cool. So, an origami-inspired clothing range that grows with your child wins Dyson's Award. So, the London-based designer, Ryan Yasin, used his background in aeronautical engineering to develop sustainable clothing to fit babies through to toddlers. I like this. This is a really cool story. So, they're saying that an origami-inspired range of children's clothing made from a durable pleated fabric that expands to fit growing babies and toddlers has won its 24-year-old designer a prestigious James Dyson Award. Young kid. So, they're saying that Ryan Yasin devised the material using scientific principles he studied during his aeronautical engineering degree. And after noting the lack of sustainability in the clothing industry and being frustrated by how quickly his baby niece and nephew outgrew garments he bought for them. So, the London-based postgraduate student aims to call it the petite pli, saying that it's the most advanced kids' clothing in the world, and it is made from distinctive pleated lightweight fabric, which is waterproof, machine washable, and recyclable, with all garments fitting 3 months to 3 years age. So each one of these garments, they will fit, a 3-month-old as well as they'll fit a 3-year-old. And when you think about the size discrepancy between those, you can start to see why, hey, this is something that can really be needed, especially if you're, hey, tired of buying clothing after clothing after clothing that you would just have to either donate or, throw away or what have you after the kid has outgrown them. So they said that most children grow by 7 sizes in their first 2 years, and that parents spend an average of $2,000 in clothing before their child reaches the age of 3. And as well as the high cost and lifetime span, mass production of garments places huge pressure on the environment through waste, water consumption, and carbon emissions. So they're trying to angle this towards, just producing that much clothing, and for that much clothing to either just go to waste, go to, different places. And hey, just the fact that it's not sustainable. Once your kid outgrows something, and it says 7 sizes, so you can buy 7 different shirts, and at the end of those 2 years, only one of them is going to be, usable. So obviously there's a need here. And they said that the engineer set out to combine the technology with textiles in order to fashion durable, practical garments for youngsters to take them through their initial growth spurt, and that the baby grow, trousers, and tops he has so far created resemble junior versions of sought-after clothing by legendary Japanese designer Issei Miyake. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that, but yeah, and again, if you're watching the video portion, we have the images here, and they have a little girl wearing it, and, doesn't look bad. It's certainly something that you'll have to say, that's an interesting design choice. That's an interesting garment. It's not, ordinary by any means, but at the same time, it's definitely functional, and it doesn't look bad. So, to speed along this article a bit here, they're saying that it's just great to have that backing and recognition of my solution. He said, saying that the prize money is an added bonus, but I know how I will use it. Saying that in addition to supporting my research and development, it will help me form an interdisciplinary team of experts to take his product to the next level, putting it in the hands of parents worldwide and making a tangible difference to the way that we consume resources in the fashion industry. So they're saying that Yasin has captured auxetic properties in his product through the use of permanent pleating. And, for those who don't know what that means, if you look at the pictures in the article, think of something, and when it says origami inspired, think of clothing that would maybe be folded in on itself over and over and over and over again. And so, when these clothing options, when the kids are small, it's really tightly, thick, folded up cloth that's, obviously will fit. And then as they grow, as they put on the shirts, the pants, what have you, and as the kids start to stretch them out, it causes the folds to kind of unfold a bit and, actually grows with the child. So, it's not some impenetrable armor, but it's a very cool solution to, the fact that your kids are going to outstretch their clothing, because this is designed to stretch with them. And so, with that being said, he said that he will aim to keep the garments at a competitive price while ensuring everyone along the supply chain is paid ethically, which, as I understand, in the in the fashion industry, that can be quite a chore to accomplish. But his invention will now be entered into the international running for the final leg of the James Dyson Award, which will give the overall worldwide winner a further $30,000 in prize money. And I keep saying dollars, euro, 30,000 euro in prize money. So, saying that, it's probably pound. I'm not good with currencies. But the James Dyson Award operates in 23 countries, blah, 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 and essentially awards people who have fashion with the environment in mind. So, very, very cool idea. And I thought that was a little bit different. But again, using his training in aeronautical engineering to help in his, kind of fashion debut. So, very, very cool. And again, if you want to check out that article or any others, computeramerica.com, we have you covered. So, let's see. We have a couple car stories, and, I'm not normally a car kind of guy, but these are two of our headlining stories, and we should probably get to them. But something about Jaguar, something about Land Rover, something about being a Land Rover owner. It changes people, and people are very passionate about their Land Rovers. People are very passionate about what they can do with them, and well, you may have something new to kind of set up and take notice of if you are a fan, because in a move, Jaguar Land Rover to make only electric or hybrid cars from 2020. And that sounds like a far way away, but at the same time, 3 years to completely switch over from your, I'm not sure if Land Rovers were ever diesel, but to switch over from your gas powered cars to either, again, all electric or at least hybrid, that's a pretty big move and a very sudden shift. So they're saying that Jaguar Land Rover has become the latest large car maker to say it will stop launching new models solely powered by the internal combustion engine. And that was just 2 months after Volvo pledged to do so as well. And Volvo said they'll do it, and now we have Land Rover, and it's going to be a race to see who's going to be the last one to announce that they're not doing electric vehicle. So the UK-based manufacturer promised that all new models from 2020 will be fully electric or hybrid, a year later than Volvo's target. But a big step beyond its unveiling last November of a single electric concept car. And if that doesn't show you the eventual impact of the electric car industry, to go from 1 year to, saying, hey, we have a model that uses an electric engine, and switching that over, or an electric engine, having one model that is an electric vehicle, and then a year later saying that all of our cars in some way will have an electric side to them. So they said that the plan comes after the Scottish government said it would phase out the need for petrol and diesel cars by 2032, 8 years earlier than the UK and the French target of banning sales of new cars with internal combustion engines. And yeah, it's a good goal. Like, I'm not, I would be one of the first ones to say that I'm all for electric vehicles, playing a larger role in society. But just to be clear, just to, be a wet blanket, note that this is strictly for selling new vehicles. So by 2032, by 2040, wherever you may live, these companies are not going to be allowed to sell their electric vehicles, but that doesn't mean that existing cars, existing trucks, existing infrastructure is just going to be wiped off the map by that deadline. No, they're still going to be on the roads for the next, 20, 30, 40 years. And then maybe sometime, hopefully before I die, the need, or at least the power that internal combustion engine has over everyday society, maybe then it'll change. But by 2032, it just means that new cars will simply be, electric in nature. So they're saying that, they said that every new Jaguar Land Rover model will be electrified by 2020, giving our customers even more choice. But Speth, and by the way, he is the chief executive over at Jaguar, said that warned of the unintended consequences of the electrification of cars and the arrival of autonomous vehicles, saying that the UK's 250,000 plus lorry drivers are at risk from driverless technology, with knock-on effects for the UK's social fabric, he says. And that's something that we've heard from, a lot of different people. What happens because there seems to be this tendency that with electric vehicles, they have more and more technology baked into them by nature. And this could be, anything from driving assistance, so like lane keep and front-end collision detection, things like that. And it could be everything all the way up to, of course, fully autonomous vehicles. And there's so much research and development going into them that they feel that, hey, by these deadlines, by 2032, by 2040, automated trucks and automated cars are going to be very commonplace, not just, something in a lab. So they're saying that furthermore, electric cars' impact on petrol and diesel demand could hurt oil producing nations, saying that many could be forced to impose substantial spending cuts within the next 5 years, straining living standards and so creating unrest in areas already suffering from instability. You can see why the UK and Europe in general would be concerned with instability in oil-producing countries. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about technology. So they're saying that Jaguar are playing catch-up. Tesla has stolen a chunk of their lunch, and BMW are way ahead as well, where the premium end of things is moving more quickly towards electrification, in parts because electric cars costs are higher at the moment because of the battery cost, so they can absorb that. It's also because they are heavily dependent on diesel, and market is moving away from diesel. So obviously luxury cars, electric, and diesel also moving towards electric. And by the way, we have a note from the diesel side after we come back from this commercial break. So we're going to wrap that up here, but essentially know that Jaguar Land Rover going to be only electric or hybrid cars by 2020. And with that, we'll come back and we'll talk about how Tesla has finally launched their Semi and what it means for the industry. So everyone, Computer America, be right back after this.
We are all Brother Wolf. 10 years ago, a group of locals banded together to create positive change. We took animals into our homes, held adoption events at local retailers, and talked to the community about our mission to help build a no-kill Asheville. A decade later, we have achieved so many victories for animals in need. There's been so much progress, yet there's still so much to do. As part of our year-long celebration, we encourage you to become a member of our special Compassionate Circle program. With a monthly donation of $10 or more, you will have behind-the-scenes access to the work we are doing at Brother Wolf. Our goal is to reach 1,000 members because we receive no government funding. Working together, we can help build and sustain no-kill communities. Learn more at compassionatecircle.bwar.org. We are a 501c3 tax-deductible organization.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 31 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And my goodness, we are, just doing computer technology news. Again, our guest, unfortunately, because of technical difficulties, we had to reschedule, but don't worry, we have you covered. We're prepared for situations such as this, and we have a bunch to talk about. And that can include, well, like I said, Tesla. Always fun to talk about them. They, it's very interesting what they've done to the, just the car industry. And now we're going to see what they can do to the to the big rig industry, to transportation. Because, Tesla's been very vocal about their want to go into automated driving and, self-driving vehicles, things like that, autonomous driving. And Tesla's also made noise about wanting to release a semi-truck that could replace old-fashioned diesel trucks that pull large loads across the country. And of course, with that, all the technology that would be packed in there would be, of course, very Tesla related. So here we have an article, this coming from Electric, and saying that Tesla Semi could be the biggest catalyst in trucking in decades and about 70% cheaper to operate. And that was by analysts. So Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas is one of the top analysts covering Tesla, and now he seems pretty excited about the imminent launch of Tesla Semi, which is the automaker's upcoming all-electric truck. And in a new note to clients today, Jonas even suggested that the reveal of the truck could be the biggest catalyst in trucking in decades. Although, to be fair, I think that's I don't think there's been that much of a catalyst in trucking for a long time, which is probably his point. And he says that we believe that Tesla's reveal of its autonomous electric Class 8 semi-truck this month could be the biggest catalyst in trucking in decades and potentially set off separation between the technology leaders and the laggards among carriers, shippers, truck OEMs, and suppliers. So, yeah, see how that goes. And Jonas then lists a series of key questions, which he then tries to answer. And this can be everything from when will the truck go on sale? He mentions 2020. How much will it cost? And he thinks about $100,000 for this truck. And that's quite expensive. Admittedly, I don't know what semis cost, but $100,000. And he said that's if separately leasing the batteries, because Tesla would probably do what they did for the electric car industry. And what they did with electric cars that, you really have to give Tesla credit for, if you hate them, if you love them, what have you. But they put in superchargers, and it was the idea that you could charge your electric car away from your home along busy interstates, highways, what have you. You didn't have, you weren't tethered to your home. There were places where you could get a full charge, and you could do so conveniently. That's an issue that Tesla's going to have to also is also going to have to solve, but for the trucking industry, because hey, let's face it, these truckers, these people, they don't just they really don't have time to sit there and wait for all of these batteries to charge up day in and day out. It's going to be, range is going to be a huge issue for trucking in these kinds of applications. And the idea that you could maybe, possibly, swap batteries out at specific stations to then, hey, increase your range very, very quickly and efficiently, that is, I think, something Tesla's going to try to take on. And, if they can do so, they can, of course, make some kind of continuous revenue model where you buy one of these trucks, you buy into a membership program of Tesla, and then you say, hey, visit a Tesla, truck station, and we'll swap out your batteries, like completely remove all the batteries and swap them in for fully charged batteries that we've already have. And you're off, you're in and out in a matter of minutes, and you can go another, 800 miles, 500 miles, whatever it may be that these trucks have to go. Although here in the article it says that the analyst would probably peg the Tesla Semi with a range of about 200 to 300 miles. So, but hey, let's say if you do 300 miles, swap out the battery, you could do another 300, just as quickly, just as easily. So they're saying that furthermore, he expects Tesla to announce some major trucking partnerships for companies to operate early fleets of the new electric truck. And that the actual date of the unveiling is still unknown, where Elon Musk said it would happen in September, so sometime this month. And Jonas also noted that it could be linked to the North American Commercial Vehicle Show in Atlanta on September 25th, so just possibly. And the site, they have their take on it, saying that if Jonas is right and the Tesla Semi is potentially being up to 70% cheaper to operate than a regular truck, then there's no doubt he is right about the fact that it could be a huge catalyst in trucking in decades, or at least, hey, the largest. But it's hard to say whether or not he is right about the 70% better economics, where Morgan Stanley model is built around a battery leasing program that would cost per mile and a sale price of $100,000 for the actual truck, which are only assumptions for the time being. Saying that nevertheless, the event is exciting for even the possibility of a cost improvement on this magnitude of the transportation industry. So, and they said that Musk hyped the event even more at the shareholders meeting in June, saying that I really recommend showing up for the semi-truck unveiling. Maybe there's a little more than what we are saying here. So obviously this is going to be a big event, not just for trucking, but for really everything, because hey, we live in a economy that isn't just regional, isn't just, hey, am I going to get my product from the next city over, the next town over, or even within my own city? Thanks to the likes of Walmart and Amazon and, all these other big box stores, shipping is one of the largest costs of a lot of the goods that we do. And if Tesla or anyone else can put out a way to cheapen those costs, cheapen or at least make less expensive the shipping of these products that we use every single day over the internet, then that saving is probably going to be passed on to you. And this could make everything and anything you buy cheaper by extension. This could really be exciting, and it could be a really, really good thing for a lot of people out there. So we'll, of course, keep note on that and see what happens. But yeah, there you have it. So let's go over to our next story, and we have a number of them here. By the way, once again, if you want to check out any of these stories, be sure to check them out, computeramerica.com. All right, let's talk about VPNs for a bit. And this article came out the other day, And it's worth noting because VPNs, we've had a number of them on the program. We've talked about them at length, and it's something to really take note of, especially in a world where, you know, they're getting more popular, and they're not just getting more popular, but they're getting more popular in circles that know what they're talking about. So here we have it. This is an article from 9 to 5 Mac, so from 9 to 5 Mac, saying that an international cybersecurity awareness survey found that 65% of the United States tech sector workers now use a virtual private network on either work devices, personal ones, or both. Although, that's and the reason that I'm kind of hesitating a little bit is because when we talk about VPNs, I immediately think about the last time I heard about one, and it had to do with the fact that what was it? We were talking to Ralph Bond, who, by the way, is going to be here tomorrow. But we were talking to Ralph Bond, and he works for Autodesk. Autodesk said that they are now using a VPN, and on any of their workers, who, of course, kind of work from home, they have to use a VPN to connect to their servers. So to say that, they're kind of doing it of their own volition may be one thing, but I think companies in general, not just individuals, but companies in general, are starting to see the benefits of being more secure by using a VPN. But anyways, let's get into this, saying that while much of the usage will be because it's installed as standard on work devices, kind of what I was saying, a growing number of people are choosing to use a VPN on their own devices in response to the past and proposed legislative changes. Saying that the Wombat Security Survey, great name, found that 41% of those surveyed use a VPN on their personal laptop, with 31 doing so on mobile devices. Saying that one of the VPNs reports that it has seen a 300% increase in take-up of its services in both the US and the UK since legislative threats emerged in both countries. And that back in March, both the Senate and the House overturned privacy rules created by the FCC, leaving the internet services providers free to sell your internet browsing history and location data to advertisers. That's right. That absolutely did happen. If it hasn't happened yet for your area, and think services such as Charter, Verizon, Comcast, places like these, they have been rolling it out for a while now, where unless you pay more or you actually read their terms of service, your internet provider is going to be collecting data about you to then sell secondhand to to data firms so that they can better serve you relevant, advertising. This is not, this is not tinfoil hat theory. This is just how the internet works nowadays, where, internet providers, they make another buck knowing that they can sell your data and your browsing history. Hence where VPNs come in, where they can obscure that. And saying that and they're saying that right now the government is considering abandoning net neutrality rules. Definitely cover that one. And meaning that ISPs and carriers could effectively create a two-speed internet, and that companies paying a premium would have traffic to their sites prioritized, while we'd get slower connections to the rest of the internet. And we've already seen mobile carriers throttling video streams. And every time you hear about the services that talk about, buy into our cell phone carrier plans, and we'll give you Netflix for free, or you'll be able to connect to YouTube. It won't count against your data. That's kind of the antithesis of open internet, net neutrality. So we're not too happy to see this happen all too often. But they're saying that using a VPN solves both problems, as it makes it impossible for the ISP or carrier to see which sites you are visiting or what you are doing there. Essentially, it kind of puts you in a little tunnel where ISPs or anyone tracking you wouldn't be able to see where the connection is going, what the connection is carrying, and the only people who get the information are you and the person you're connecting to with your VPN. So, saying that more than 10 million people took part in a public consultation on net neutrality, that would be the comments on the FCC, with 40 tech giants encouraging them to do so. And while Apple did not speak out at that stage, it did last week and called on the government to keep current net neutrality protections in place. And yeah, so there you have it. And it's although to be safe, use a VPN that you know something about, that you can look up, that you can, kind of check out, and you can kind of say, hey, this is something that I trust, because a lot of VPNs out there, they're not even that good. And, we're not going to give any recommendations here, just going to give you the skinny of it. But not all VPNs are created equal. Not, the technology is not standard. And in fact, some VPNs are more malicious than they are helpful, or even more malicious than they are than any content that you'd find anywhere else. In fact, some VPNs have been found to actually collect your data and sell it to advertisers. Essentially, what you're paying them to do to protect you from, you're paying them to do to you. It's VPNs are are varied, and there's a lot of different ones. Check them out. Computer America should probably do a list, but no, hey, content for later, and just be careful which VPN you actually decide to go with. So with let's see. With that being said, why don't we go over to our next story? And all right, so one of our favorite publications, that'll be Engadget, saying that, let's go with this one, saying that squeezing your HTC U11, so obviously kind of phone, will do a lot more soon. That's definitely a different way to utilize a command on your phone. So, and this is obviously from Gadget, Mr. Chris Valeska, saying that one of his biggest gripes about the HTC U11 is that the Edge Sense gimmick, which lets you squeeze the phone to activate shortcuts, didn't actually let you do very much. And, well, it's about to change, saying that the company is going to push a software update tonight that adds new default actions for Edge Sense, and more importantly, the ability to create your own shortcuts for any app installed on your phone. So the new default actions are pretty straightforward, where if you squeeze the phone while in Google Maps or Google Photos, zooms into or out of whatever you're looking at. And we knew that this was coming thanks to the teasing by HTC, but it all works well enough. And beyond that, you can also squeeze to snap a picture while using Instagram, or fire up the old text-to-speech engine when the keyboard is on the screen. So yeah, just kind of giving you another, I'm sure as they hope, intuitive way to interact with your phone. And yeah, he's saying that really though, the best part of the update is whipping up your own shortcuts on the fly. So let's say you're like this gentleman here, and you prefer to use Astro or Outlook or whatever other email client you like over Gmail. And to set up a shortcut, you hit a red button and choose a point on the screen that'll be visually tapped or to double tap when you squeeze the phone. And in his case, the first thing that I did was I set up a feature to simulate a tap on Astro's compose button. So yeah, you can decide where you would want to tap when you squeeze the phone. So not only he's saying I'm now only a squeeze away from putting out an email that I probably didn't want to write in the first place. And more immediately helpful was a shortcut he made to unpause podcasts in Pocket Cast, saving him the trouble of stretching my thumbs across the screen and hitting a button. My God, these are such small quality of life changes, but I guess that can make all the difference. All right, so, and he's saying that that's really all we're talking about here. You're not radically redefining the way that you use your phone. you're just saving yourself a few taps. And sadly, there's a limit to how complex these shortcuts can be, and that you can define more than one action for a squeeze in a specific app, but only one shortcut per app can be active at a time. So there's no way to stack multiple actions into a more complex sequence, but if you have the Edge Sense's advanced mode enabled, you can at least set another shortcut for a squeeze and hold. So, 2 shortcuts. So, I think we're going to leave that there, but the HTC, a feature I had never even heard of, and it's getting a little bit better already. Definitely like the sound of that. So, let's see. How about we do this one? So, it's definitely fallen from what we once knew it as. I mean, IndieGo, Kickstarter, any of these other services that promise to deliver a product after you've, they promise to deliver a product after you paid for it, and essentially you were putting your money where your mouth was, and you were supporting people who had an idea, but maybe not the infrastructure, maybe not the, maybe not even the product itself. And you were kickstarting things. You were getting independent developers to, start. And, well, IndieGo is tightening its requirements just a little bit, saying that IndieGo requires campaigns to disclose product status and risk. And they're also forced to update backers monthly. Although, a lot of these things, it seems like if you were backing a good IndieGo campaign, these were things that your services were already doing to begin with. And now they're just putting it into formal writing. So this is coming from David Lum, and again from Engadget, saying that crowdfunding has brought a lot of great projects to life. But fundraising on the frontier brings risk, like unexpected issues delaying product for delivery for years or canceling campaigns outright, which we have seen plenty of both. Kickstarters and IndieGo's, they are, they're not much more than, a gamble. But IndieGo wants to shore up trust on its platform, so it's requiring entrepreneurs to disclose more information up front and update backers monthly, and that every campaign in the tech and innovation category must disclose how far along it is, and from concept planning to shipping finished goods, and clarify the risk at each stage, saying that entrepreneurs are now required to post updates for backers at least once a month, which isn't just a responsible thing to do, saying that checking in that frequently raises campaigns 286% more money. Yeah. Than those that do not update on a regular basis. And saying that while this won't seriously improve the odds that any product you back will make it into your hands, at least you'll be armed with more information to better choose which campaigns to back. Like I said, this probably isn't going to, deter anyone who's looking to scam people. This probably isn't going to deter anyone who doesn't have the inclination or, the skills necessary to handle something like this. But it will help people discern who's actually on top of the ball, who's running their campaign in a responsible way, and maybe it can save someone some headache down the road. So if you're planning an IndieGo, the requirements just got a bit stricter. All right, so we have time for maybe one more story. Let's do, and there's a lot of good stories here. All right, how about this one? I always like esports. They're, definitely interesting. I think that they have a long way to go. There's a lot of room for growth, but it's happening. And stories like this only confirm that. So this coming to us from Engadget, David Lum once again. And Blizzard will open its next esports stadium in Los Angeles. That's right, esports stadium. a thing where people go and thousands of them go and cheer and watch their favorite teams? Well, now there's going to be a stadium where you can go and watch your favorite players sit on a computer and play video games at the competitive level. Weird, huh? Yeah. But they're saying its first event, which will be an Overwatch Contenders Playoff on October 7th. So, back in March, gaming titan Blizzard opened its first esports arena in Taipei. And sure, they probably chose Taiwan as a hub teams playing in Overwatch's far-ranging Pacific Championship. But the question remained: where was the arena on Blizzard? Where was the arena on Blizzard's home turf? And their home turf, obviously, being in California. And at long last, the company has revealed that it's been building one in the backyard of its headquarters. On October 7th, the Blizzard Arena Los Angeles will open its doors for its first event, which will be the Overwatch Contenders first season playoffs. And that the Blizzard Arena is nestled in the Burbank Studios, which housed the Tonight Show for 40 years. So it's not like I said arena, and I was saying the word stadium. Not that big a deal. Obviously, live audience. If you consider, hey, the Tonight Show a decent enough venue, then yeah, it's obviously going to have some production value. So there's an hour's drive north of the Blizzard headquarters in Irvine, California. The studio will host matches and tournaments that will be broadcast worldwide. And just like its Taipei counterpart, Blizzard flagship arena will have a shop full of merchandise that will rotate its stock according to the current competition. And after the Overwatch playoffs break in the stage, the Burbank Arena will host the summer tournament for Hearthstone, also a fun game, on October 13th. Saying that the third round of competition before the league's grand finale in early 2018. And that the rest of the month will feature matches of other Blizzard hero titles from Heroes of the Storm and World of Warcraft. And as players compete to qualify for these games championships at BlizzCon in early November. So this is not a replacement for the any venues that currently exist. It simply gives Blizzard a way to organize and bring people together in a format that is more conducive to broadcast content, which really I feel is what esports needs. It needs some of that. It needs content that can be readily digestible by a larger audience, and renting out a television studio to do so might be the way to go. So, of course, they already have the the Overwatch tickets on sale for these kinds of things, but you can bet that those are probably going to be sold out before long, because Blizzard sanctioned events, they don't stay around for very long. So everyone, that I think is just about all we have time for here on Computer America. Covered a lot of stories, very happy with what we've already covered. And if you want to find out more, again, computeramerica.com. Today's show notes will be updated with all the articles that we've done. And hey, while you're there, be sure to poke around for articles, reviews, and more over at Computer America. And there's the music. So be sure to tune in tomorrow here on the program as we talk to the one, the only Ralph Bond of Autodesk fame, and we talk about a lot of 3D printing, a lot of course, Autodesk type related news and content. And trust me, Autodesk, they do a lot with everything from movies to architecture to everything in between. It's really a very interesting time. So everyone, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Computer America. Thank you for catching us. We apologize again for our guests unfortunately not being able to join us, but don't worry, they'll be rescheduled and we will get things back on track. So until tomorrow, again, everyone, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, check us out, computeramerica.com. And of course, podcasts, videos, YouTube, and radio stations across the nation. Thank you so much. Tune in next time. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great time.